Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined this week by Lonnie from the Call Me Lonnie YouTube channel. And Lonnie, you created the term point stacking in the community. Now you're creating point stretching?
Yeah, sure. Let's coin it. Point stretching TM.
Here
Yep.
first, folks.
And speaking of point stretching, I got my over ears on, brand new, hot off the Amazon truck with my before the 5X Amazon on the Freedom Flex ends. So I'm going to be a little bit like RJ tonight and take these things for a test drive.
There we go. And again, Easter egg for everyone else who doesn't know yet. We're also joined by RJ from D Take Cards. RJ, how are you doing tonight?
I am a little under the weather tonight, so my voice is going to be a journey that we're all going to take together on this podcast.
Absolutely. And we are prepping for what might be one of the longest 24-hour stretches in the credit card world in some time. We're recording right now on Monday, June 16th. We're starting late on Monday, June 16th on the East Coast, but we are anticipating that there will be Sapphire Reserve news tomorrow. If there is, we're going to do some extra programming. I've got some programming on my channel going on. If there isn't, I'm going to look like a massive idiot. So we'll see what happens there. And then American Express decided to preemptively just step in and say, hey, we're going to do stuff this fall. They didn't tell us anything else, but hey, we got stuff coming this fall, like every company does when company X says
That is a
Y.
normal marketing move.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand why people are so shocked that Amex decided, oh, Chase is going to do something on Tuesday. Let's go ahead and say something on Monday. This happens all the time. Samsung and Apple do it every single year.
Yep.
We just saw it last week. PlayStation did their Summer Games Fest the day before Nintendo Switch 2 comes out. This is normal marketing maneuvers right here.
Oh, yeah.
I
No, this is
I
absolutely strong marketing.
I love the petty though. Give me more Mean Girls meets credit card. I want them to be pettier. Like I want them to be I want Amex, and if it was Amex launching tomorrow and Chase did this, I would say the same thing. It's not the Amex aficionado in me that's doing this. I genuinely want them to be more petty. Like I want Amex to find the same credit that Chase has and make it like $10 more a year. Like it's
Yep.
$110 for the be pettier. It's fun. It's good marketing. It gives us something to talk
Oh,
about. So that doesn't
100%.
hurt anybody is great.
Whoever runs the Wendy's Twitter account needs to be in charge of this precise moment. It's like, oh, they're going to give you a $250 credit. We're going to give you a $265 credit. That type of stuff. They're going to give you 4x. We're going to give you 5x and 1.6 in our travel portal. That's what I want to see right now. To be completely honest, I'm right there with you, RJ.
Just don't let the Arby's social media team in the chat.
Is it Arby's or is it? I thought it was
No, no, no.
Wendy's.
Wendy's is amazing. Arby's is deranged.
So they're going to be the new city media managers.
US Bank, until US Bank figures out what they are or aren't. Anyway, welcome everyone to this week's episode. We're going to move over to news and topics. No major news. Like the biggest news that dropped on Monday was Capital One opened a JFK Lounge in Terminal 4. Yay. Yeah. 13,500 square feet. And after February 1st of next year, if you got a family, only you can get in if you hold the card. Unless you're going to play hopscotch to figure it out.
Would
So our
have
topics and
I would have way too much fun standing in the lounge and waving to the rest of my party and then turning around and walking in, which is perhaps why I have Delta and can get everybody in, so I don't have to be beaten mercilessly after I get out of the lounge.
here's the thing. If I tried to pull that with my family and I went and enjoyed my time in the lounge, when I get to the gate, I don't think I will actually make it to the gangway. Between the gate and the gangway onto the plane, I will be murdered.
You know what? Depending on the lounge, it might be worth it, Matt.
I think you need to try one of those like now you see me that card scene where they're like passing it around the security room, just like here I scanned in and be like whoosh, and like pass it to your partner. You're like, yeah, here's my card.
I'll try that with a lounge that I never want to enter twice.
And I just found out they're making a third one of those movies, and I'm excited for it. They're like cheesy good movies.
No, they're bringing back Jesse Eisenberg and Woody
Mhm.
Harrelson. Interesting.
Yep.
All right. Cool. How
Movie
about
theater and had the new poster up. So I'm
nice?
like, oh, that's cool.
RJ, how about you kick us off with topics this week?
Yeah, so we talk a lot on this podcast about like life changing our setup or different factors. We go from being on a United hub to a Delta hub, so we have to retool, or we were big into Hyatt and now we're looking at IHG or Hilton. So those are all decisions we're making, right? Or decisions work is making and saying you must fly American. Sorry, kid, but that would be rough. So those are all decisions coming from us or coming from our side of the equation. But banks change cards. We're possibly about to get a big change that'll affect both of my coworkers or both of my co-hosts. It's been a long day, guys. And those changes might change your relationship to that card and if it fits in your life or if it doesn't. So, how do you navigate that side of the equation where the banks can at any time say, we're going to change this multiplier that was key to the reason you had the card? Do you have redundancy built in your system so if that happens, you don't have to apply for something? Or do you have a rolling list of if they change this card, I'm going to apply for this one? Lonnie, as somebody who definitely is a fan of portals and what those portals do for you, I'm going to go to you first.
For sure. Good question. Now, in my opinion, I say that if the bank were to change something, the first thing that I would do out once it's official, once we cross that bridge and we know it's fact, Matt, it's fact. Okay.
Why am I
When
catching
it's
this train?
fact, is reevaluate what did actually change. And like you said, there's a couple of things that changed. This Sapphire, which is one of my favorite cards in my wallet, one of the most powerful cards for me in my wallet, is it still just as powerful? And there's many factors that could affect that. One, annual fee going up. Great. That yes, it sucks. I don't want to pay more, but I can get over that. I just did a video about how the United Explorer card went up to 150 and it's still worth it. That type of stuff. So I'm not going to get rid of that card. And I'll do the exact same thing with the CSR when we know officially what's going to happen. The other aspect of it is it's understanding. So outside of the money part, the annual fee part, but what's the stuff that makes you want the card? And it don't effing say design. If you're gonna say design, go sit in the corner, like straight up. Just oh, it looks good. You go. I can't say it, but go sit in the corner. But for myself, one kicking it right off, $300 travel credit. The most easy thing. I burn 40% of that credit by accident on that card every single year. Completely by oh crap, I spent $5 at a parking garage. I guess I'm not paying for it. Or like those types of things. Yeah, yeah. You take I guess a lift or a ride share wouldn't be by accident, but it's man, I was really saving that for X trip, and then $40 is gone. Literally, because it's that easy to use. But $300 is $300 no matter how you stack it. So I'm not really mad. If that goes away, and my annual fee goes up almost 150 something dollars, then yeah, that's going to reevaluate those types of things because it's not about effective annual fee. It's I actually use that credit the way that credit is intended. I'm also really big on the travel portal. I've mentioned it, especially when it comes down to the simplicity of it all. But there is so much value, and everyone that wants to say you're only getting 1.5 cents per point, once again, you're not doing the full math because you don't know how I got those points and the value in which I earned said points. I might have earned them at 0.1 cent per point or whatever you want to call it. So I'm getting like 10, 15x when I do that, which is better than transferring them out. Do the math. But if that stuff goes away, that's a huge reevaluation that I need to look at. But the other aspect of it is make sure that you always have a plan B. So it's easy for me to say, you know what? The CSR just added it, hypothetically just added a whole bunch of new stuff. But they've also covered parts of other cards in which made me drawn to them. For example, $500 in edit credit, it's more than $200 in fine hotel and resorts credit that I get on my platinum. So that little annual fee raise could actually end up saving me $695 a year because of that, if that makes sense. So there's not just, I need to reevaluate this card. It's what am I getting and what can it also replace at the same time. Now, I've also mentioned, I think in my last video that I put out, you're never, I don't think anyone's ever getting 100% of all the credits, perks, and benefits on that a card provides them. Hey, we're going to give you $300 credit to go buy concert tickets. Where's my $250 babysitter credit then? Because I'm not going to any concerts anytime soon. You know what I mean? Or I have talked about the Resi credit on my gold. That's $100 credit that I throw away down the trash every single year because I just can't get. I don't live near a Resi restaurant, and once again, where's my babysitter credit? Because all these reservations start at 5 o'clock, which is exactly when dad duties start. So that's just getting thrown away. So now they're like, "Oh, we're going to give you credits for Chase restaurants." Okay, is Chase restaurants in walking distance? Is it around the corner? Because if it's not the Mexican place with the awesome banging tacos around the corner, then I'm probably going to be missing out on that credit as well. So it's just a type of balancing act. But more importantly, if it can start pushing me in one direction, that's great. But if it can start taking away from me having to have 15, 16, 12, 8, however many credit cards are in your wallet. I think that's the part that a lot of people, once again, aren't doing the full math on. Is it might have caused some issues, but it may have solved more issues at the exact same time. But going back to the original part of your question, the foundation in which I got the card, I don't want to change my lifestyle that much. So keep my 1.5. Heck, make it 2.0 on certain partners, make it 2.0 and on whatever. But don't take away my 1.5. Don't take away my 300, because these are actual things that I use for various reasons in various ways. And they are the number one, number two reasons on why I have the card. Now, there is a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a way more. But if you take away the foundation, then no, there's absolutely no point for me to keep it at that point. And that's the way that I look at or approach a reevaluation of it.
Also, one thing to keep in mind for the listeners out there is these changes are going to take effect before most of your annual fees come about. So you're able to test drive the new look of a card before your annual fee. If your annual fee is 2 months after the launch of something, then yeah, you might be out of luck. But if you're 7, 8, 9 months out, you're gonna get a pretty good bite of the new card before you actually have to pay that higher fee. Matt, as somebody who does not have maybe the amount of cards Lonnie and I do, you have quite a lot of the $0 annual fee cards, but not quite as many of the higher end cards. By your own admission, when we played the credit card discard game, how do you feel about when the banks are changing it and it's not driven by you or your lifestyle or something to that effect?
Lonnie said, and I'm sure you'd agree, once the change is made, it's the first thing you should do is start reevaluating and starting to look at how does this fit? Does this fit what I do? Does this fit my current lifestyle? If it doesn't fit, is there like how big of a shoehorn would I need to in order to keep this card if I'm going to try to make keeping this card a priority? You have to answer a couple of different questions to yourself. Does this card fit now my strategy going forward? If Lonnie and I both hold the Sapphire Reserve still has the 1.5 redemption or still has the ability to go through the portal, and the portal is treated like a cash booking, so I can save and I have that 1.5, great. Like everything else may not be a huge issue for me because okay, the multipliers changed. Multipliers on flights in the portal went from 5 to 8. Awesome. I'm now getting 12% back when I book through the portal. Oh, flights went from 5 to 8 and I can use this like I can use the redemption across the portal. Oh, great. I'm getting 12% back on booking a cruise. I'm getting 12% back on attractions. I'm getting 12% back. There's that. And then you may have to counterbalance that with, oh, I'm losing 3x travel across the board, but now my 4 times points on hotel bookings direct and 4 times points on flights direct. Guess what? That's 6 times points in the travel when I go to book a cruise or when I go to book an attraction or a tour or something like that. So if the when the math changes, if the math changes in a way that doesn't adversely affect your ability to utilize the card and drive value out of the card, you're good. essentially. You don't have to worry about it. And especially if you go through the portal and you're getting 8 times points, and let's say hypothetically, I'm going to keep picking on the Sapphire Reserve, and American Express came out and said, we're going to be making changes in the fall. Now you got to start anticipating those changes in the fall. What are they going to be? How does this affect the card? Will this affect my relationship with that card? You've got a couple months to think about that until they make the announcement, not to try to induce anxiety in my co-host, but the banks are always going to make changes. They make changes on a relatively regular time scale. It's usually about 5 years for premium cards. Non-premium cards can last a little bit longer. Looking at the City Double Cash, looking a little bit at the City Custom Cash. I don't remember when the heck that card came out, but like the Freedom Unlimited got changed back in 2020. The Freedom Flex got introduced in 2020 or 2021. So like these cards come around get updated all the time. So you have to take into account like what the bank has done, reassess, and then ask yourself the question, am I better off with the new card? And if I'm not better off with the new card, where am I going to go to get that same value? And once you answer the first question, the second question gets a lot easier. Like Chase loses the 1.5 in the portal. Chase kills off the ability to gain elite knights in the portal. Chase strips down the edit for whatever reason because they woke up drunk and stupid. Maybe the Sapphire Reserve isn't for me going forward. But let's say Chase keeps the 1.5. Let's say Chase expands as part of the announcement, like expands and says, hey, going forward, you're now going to get your IHG status reflected when you book through the portal. You're going to get your Hyatt status reflected when you book through the portal, and you're going to get your Marriott status reflected when you book through the portal. Guess what? The portal just became my best friend. Why? Because now the Sapphire Reserve would become the instant #1 best overall Hyatt card ever, because you earn 8x points, and when you go to redeem those 8x points, you don't have to transfer. You can transfer to Hyatt for some relatively good value if you want, or you can get a 12% return at Hyatt through the portal if that's what they do, and everything like comes up Millhouse. Not everything's going to come up Millhouse, obviously, but you do have to just take what they give you, and then if it fits. If it doesn't fit, that's when you start looking at what your changes are going to be. Where am I if the Sapphire Reserve becomes a card that I can no longer hold? Man, I don't know. But I don't have to think about that until it becomes a card I no longer have to hold. I can no longer justify holding.
No, I think both of those answers are very strong. It feels less fair is not the right word, but it still feels less fair when it's not us making the choice or making the lifestyle decision or having our lives
Yeah.
change. But banks are going to do what's in the best interest of the banks and their partners before they're going to do what's in the best interest of all of us. They are a business, as we are so fond of saying on this podcast. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I will be interested what they do with the platinum. Lonnie and I are both platinum holders, and I think Kid is as well. So when that drops, we're going to be just as eagerly anticipating what the changes are as everybody is with the Sapphire Reserve. So it's going to be an interesting time because fall could be September, fall could be November. Nothing like a Thanksgiving, Black Friday card drop. We'll see what goes on.
Oh, that would be evil.
I need Amex to do 1.5 in their travel portal and at least double the FHR. Give me like you can do the one time I'll actually say give me 6 months versus 6 months. The first half and back half of the year. 200 and 200 and 1.5 in the Amex travel portal. Man, I might have to cash out my Chase points and just go full Amex if they did that.
If the platinum is 1.5 everything, I would also be really happy. I would get rid of the Blue Business Plus at that point immediately. I would take half
Yeah,
a
if they
point
just
haircut.
you mean if just earn
Yeah,
1.5 every time you swipe? Like they got to do something. They got to do something there.
yeah,
The whole 5x on flights and 1x on everything else that exists in the world is just not cutting it. It's
yeah.
not.
They could. That would be something. That would get people talking.
Yeah,
I would like
but
two, but I'll take
5 and 1 is just
1.5.
not.
No, it's
5 and
not
1
cutting
is
it.
just not competitive anymore.
No.
Yeah, not at that price point.
Banks also do not care about you as an individual until you own about 9% of the shares that are publicly available to that bank. Then they start to care who you are. real quick.
How hard it is to get 9% of the shares?
I know how hard it would be to get 9% of the shares of a bank, but if you get 9% of the shares in any company, they care who you are.
Matt is slowly
51% still
trying to
bad.
create shell corps to buy Wells Fargo stock. I can see it now.
Anyway, before my dealings become too much more public, Lonnie, your topic of the week.
Yeah, piggybacking on what RJ was saying, one of the points that RJ was saying there about these banks, I personally think that Chase and Amex are just whipping them out on the table and saying which one is bigger based on what's happening and what was recently announced as of today, as the day as we record this. So what I mean is Amex came out saying that they're going to refresh the Amex Platinum card, which one should not be a shocker because this happens like every 4 to 5 years, and we're coming up on that 4 to 5 year mark. So not a big deal. But like I said, I personally think they're just pulling out rumors versus doing it for the business changes. So this is where RJ and I are going to disagree. I don't think they're doing it for the business changes, but with so much more money being added to annual fees, the cards competing in specific categories, perks, benefits, etc. I honestly think they are just trying to win you as a consumer, where you're gonna have to pick between Chase and Amex. And the reason why is not necessarily the credits or anything like that. It's just you can't afford to be in both. I don't care what your financial situation, it just does not make financial sense to be in both. Now, RJ, I'm going to throw it back to you. Do you agree that this is what potentially happening versus they're making good business changes?
I think that probably the last 2 to 3 years, 95% of people have slowly migrated to one side or the other of this. There are people like I had the Ventrax for a while. I know you have both. Other people have both. A lot of the people who have both have pretty good business spend, either their own business or they travel for work. Most people who are quote normal, and even people who are in credit cards but not doing a bunch of business spend, have picked one or the other, or at least they have a strong bias one or the other. So I think that has slowly been happening. I think the annual fee raises that we're going to see this year is just going to make it more explicit. You're going to want to pick one or the other just so you're not paying 3 grand just in a couple of annual fees. Yeah. I have 3 cards that are like 95% of my annual fees. All of them are with Amex, the reserves and the platinum. But I've picked my lot, right? Like the only Chase card that I have that I use with any regularity is the IHG card. But co-brands aren't really the same thing, right? Because they're not earning Chase points, they're not earning Amex points. They're for that thing. But I think that it's becoming more explicit. I also think it's in some ways it's better for the card holder to have to pick a side, right? There are benefits to going all in with Chase, going all in with Amex or Wells Fargo or whoever, right? There are benefits to that. I talk a lot about point consolidation, right? If you're spending X amount of money and you can get all of your points to work naturally together because they're all in the same ecosystem, or because you're doing cashback, which doesn't really care about ecosystem, that is better typically for you. Now, there are people outside of that that do things differently, and that's okay. But for most people, I still think point consolidation matters. So picking a sandbox makes it easier. Yes, there are people who are going to lose out on a little bit, but I bet if they did the math of what they're losing out on, it's not as much as they think it is. Like, it's just not. I think we in the game focus on how can I get this the most optimized, and we realize that we're fighting for like 25 bucks a year. And we don't realize it until we put it in that sense of, oh no, we're the gains we're fighting for. We're spending so much time to fight for that like 25 bucks that we have now spent $500 on different software to optimize for that like 25 bucks. So I think that picking a ecosystem will help. Look, I know people who have Mac computers and still have an Android. That is not an uncommon thing. There are going to be people like Lonnie who are going to play in both sandboxes. I do know a couple of people who have iPhones and window computers. I don't understand these people. They're out there. So it becomes this thing of you can cross ecosystems, and if it works for you, it'll work. But that is just going to be rare because of how this works. It also depends on what they do with the CSP. If the CSP goes to 250, this is going to change some things for the green, which is going to then make it more expensive to have multiple of these cards or to do different things. So I do think we're going towards your sort of, for at least Chase and Amex, you're picking an ecosystem and then you might have a secondary one. But I do think we're getting out of the realm of you having two primary travel cards, unless you have a specific reason and it's not just Pokemon, I gotta have them all.
I think I feel a little bit attacked there because I have 4 cards with annual fees over $500.
I
And
have
also, if the CSP
three.
goes to 250, Built better pull an Amex and come out and be like, "Hey, here's what we're about to do."
Yeah.
That's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, the next couple of months is going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of redundant content and there's going to be a lot of fun content in the credit card space on this particular battle. Matt, what do you think? Do you think this is actual business decisions or someone pulling out a ruler? Oh, I'm not going to let you have the highest annual fee. I'm going to have the highest annual fee. I don't care about my consumers. And matter of fact, I'm going to pull Queen's move and try to put you in a checkmate and just take all your consumers and so lock you into my ecosystem. Where are you at on this?
Today was absolutely measuring. Like American Express just put their cured sausage on the table and said, "Look at this," and then walked away. Overall, it is ecosystem lock-in. American Express likes to model itself not strongly, but does like to model itself to a certain extent like Apple does. American Express wants you in their ecosystem. American Express wants you to have the platinum card, wants you to have the gold card, wants you to earn membership reward points in any way that they're willing to let you, any way that you want to get membership reward points. You have a business, here's the Blue Business Plus. You had no annual fee card at one point. You can keep that no annual fee card. We don't care. It's fine. Do your thing. You want the gold card? Cool. You want the green card? Cool. You don't want the green card anymore. You want the traditional green card, but you still want it to earn membership reward points. Give us another $40. You're good. As long as you are in our ecosystem, don't really care what you do. Now, they could cater to this a little bit more by, I don't know, having some extra options for membership reward earning cards that are less than $150. They have 9 trademarks floating out there. There's going to be a replacement to the Everyday and Everyday Preferred at some point this year. I don't know when, but it's coming. They could always at any point just flip the switch and say, "Hey, you know those membership reward dollars that we give you on the everyday, on the Blue Cash Preferred and Blue Cash Everyday? You can cash those in for membership reward points." At any point, they could do that and lock even more people in. American Express wants you when you come into the American Express ecosystem, they want you to stay. They are giving you the blue bubble of, here's your membership reward point earning card. You want to be with all the other blue bubbles. We want you with all the other blue bubbles. And we want you paying as many annual fees as possible to stay with the blue bubbles. But more importantly, we want you with the blue bubbles. That's why the upgrade downgrade game is now being exploited. That's why retention offers were being exploited. That's why they do the things that they do and will offer no lifetime language offers to those who are really good customers who meet those no lifetime language. And this is more on the business side, but I am certain that there are like unicorns out there who get offers for no lifetime language gold cards, who have 4 or 5 gold cards, who have gotten welcome offers on those 4 or 5 gold cards. Why? Because they're that valuable a customer to American Express. Can't say it's too many people, but I'm not going to say that it's 0 people. American Express is about lock-in. Chase sees how much money American Express earns every single quarter. Every quarter, American Express spikes the ball. Says, we are doing gangbusters with these demographics. We are making money hand over fist. Doesn't matter what we do to the annual fee. It doesn't matter what coupon we put out. It doesn't matter how we significantly change the card and folks' relationship with the card. Folks are going to complain, but you know what they're still going to do? They're going to pay the annual fee. If they're not going to pay the annual fee, we're going to find a way to keep them in our ecosystem. Whether they think they're gaming us or not, we're still getting paid. Chase sees that. Chase wants that level of lock-in. They don't have the same card setup. They don't have the same like loose structure to do that. But Chase was fine with you getting an ink every quarter. They didn't care. You were coming into their system. You were spending money on their cards. They want you to spend money on their cards. Chase, as long as you were abiding by 524, Chase would let you get any card you want. And as long as your total credit line isn't too scary to chase, you're generally going to get what you want from Chase. And even if your total credit line is above what Chase may be comfortable with, if you are a good enough customer with Chase, they will bend the rules for you. Why? Because the banks want to make money at the end of the day. Chase wants you in their ecosystem. The minute Chase does something that drives you out of their ecosystem, you're going to American Express. The minute American Express does something to drive you out of their ecosystem, you're going to Chase. The only thing that they want in terms of you leaving their ecosystem is you're a Chase customer in a United hub. You move to a Delta hub. That's the only way you're going to leave Chase. You are an American Express loyalist who's in a Delta hub. You move to a Southwest focus city. That's the only way you're leaving American Express and going to Chase. And American Express would much rather you finagle your way around to stay with American Express while you're in that Southwest focus city. Like, they will do what they can to keep you locked in. They will do what they can for you to stay loyal. They want you locked in with them. And they would prefer that you not bank with the other customer, with the other big bank. They don't really care about the smaller banks. Oh, I have a Saver card to pick up groceries because no Chase card gives me reliable grocery. Chase doesn't really care about that. But Chase does care if your secondary card is the American Express Gold card. And Chase will want to find a way to get that gold card out of your wallet. Like Amex wants to find a way to get the Sapphire Preferred out of your wallet. It's all ecosystem lock-in. Between those two right now, it is ecosystem lock-in. Chase has seen how much money Amex gets every single quarter. Amex wants to continue spiking the ball every single quarter. This is where we are. Only a third bank could set us free. And then they'll try to spike the ball every quarter.
Very well said. I don't disagree with a lot of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I will say it like this. I think time will tell.
Yep.
But go ahead and bookmark this video, save it, whatever, so I can say, I told y'all so. When we get to a point where it's like, I have to pick one. You have to pick a side. I'm like, I saw this in the tea leaves in June of 2025.
Yeah. If you haven't already, it's been clear for a while. It is more clear today, and it will be even more clear 6 months from now. You're going to have to lock into one side or the other. The playing both is only available to those with net worths above mine, and probably well above Lonnie's, because Lonnie's net worth is well above mine.
Shut up, Matt.
Just stating facts.
He has all those shoes that he has to keep in the lifestyle of which they've become accustomed. He's got to take care of the shoes.
I could have spent it on drugs or strippers or hookers.
Hey, as somebody who enjoys purchasing things, such as the tobacco pipes behind me, I understand buying things that people go, huh, that's what you spend your money on. Could be heroin, not heroin. There we go.
I'll start my own rewards program.
Yeah.
Blackjack.
You know what the best part is? When people are like, you spend money on that stuff? Can I borrow $20? No, you can't.
No, $20 I can spend on a drop later. All right. Thanks, Lonnie. We will close with my topic. My topic, Citizens Bank recently announced a new fleet of credit cards. Are they interesting? No, not really. But one of the cards in particular, the Citizens Summit Reserve, is launching with a $295 annual fee. But they put a little twist on it. If you have a Citizens Quest checking account, this is a checking account that requires like at least a $25,000 standing balance to waive the monthly maintenance fees, or $5,000 in deposits. It's not a simple, flat, no fee, no worry checking account like for a student. It's like a legit checking account. If you have that, you're going to get $200 knocked off of your annual fee. So you're only paying $95 for the card. This is a card with travel benefits. This is a card with decent multipliers, 1.5 times 1.5% cashback base, gives you TSA global entry, pre-check, all of that. Some World Elite MasterCard benefits, the works, for $295, but they're going to give it to you for $95 if you have a certain checking account with Citizens. Now, if you're a Citizens private client, this $295 annual fee card is free before any of the credits that they have on the card. This is a card that now has no annual fee and gives you all the other travel credits that are associated with the card, all the other perks that are associated with the card. They're not crazy expensive perks. They're not crazy amazing perks, but it's enough of a travel card to say, hey, we have a travel card. But this setup with the annual fees has me thinking, would you make your relationship with a bank more exclusive? If Chase Private Client would let you waive your annual fees, how quickly are you signing up for Chase Private Client? If American Express had a concierge level banking, or like an extra level above their checking account that was like private client level, but you got to hold all of your charge cards for no annual fee, would this be something you would love to see your issuer of choice do? And obviously the answer would be yes, but like, how would you adapt your relationship with your bank of choice? I'm not going to say Chase specifically or American Express specifically, because maybe it's another bank. But if you could get your annual fee reduced based on your relationship with your bank, how much would that buy your loyalty? And RJ, I'll go to you first.
I don't think it would. And it's as simple
Okay.
as I don't make what they're looking for in terms of the money kept in these accounts for it to matter. Like, I make a good
Okay.
amount of money. I am comfortable. I make more than quite a lot of people around me, but I don't make $250,000. Like, I don't have enough to put $50,000 into a Smartly account to get earn more, right? Like, I just don't have the amount of money they're looking for. Now, if it's keep $1,000 in an account, yeah, probably not a problem. But what they're looking for people to do is not that. So why would I hold $1,000 or hold $20,000 or hold whatever hostage that I might legitimately need that I now can't access, because if I do, then I'm going to get hit with this like credit card annual fee that's going to be on top of whatever money I pull out, right? Like, to me, as somebody who makes good money but doesn't make like great money, like I'm in that sort of bubble of comfortable but not like I can buy anything I want, but I have to think about it sometimes. You know what I mean? It's that level of comfort. These
Right.
things don't appeal to me because I'm just not able to do what they want. It's why Bank of America, even if I did cashback, Bank of America doesn't hold a lot of water for me because they require me to put so much into their accounts that I just don't have. So, would I love if these things happened? In theory, yeah. But the problem is that the practical side of it does not work for me. Like, I don't like not having access to my money, all of it at all times. I just don't like that. That is a me thing. That is a growing up in the area I did, growing up how I did thing. I want access to my money at all times. I don't want it in a CD. I don't want it into an account that I can't access for 6 months so it gets better interest. I don't want any of that. I want access to my money when I want access to my money, and you damn sure better not be holding it for longer than I deem necessary or federally necessary based on like banking rules. You deposit a check and it takes a couple days before you can pull it out. Like that I get. But like my money is my money and you will damn sure not get between me and my money. So if I have to keep $10,000 into an account, that's a non-starter. I have to keep $1,000 in an account. I don't want to do that either. So if it's just simply having an account, that's one thing. But if soon as it crosses over to you have to keep X dollars that you can't touch, no, just no. I take credit cards and banking as two completely separate mindsets, as willing to apply and as screw it, there's a sign up offer that I really want in credit cards that I will go for. I am super small c conservative when it comes to banking and when it comes to the accounts I will hold and what I will do on the actual paycheck investment side of that. I'm diametrically opposed when it comes to those two categories. So for me, absolutely not. But that is a me thing.
Got it. What about,
That is who I am.
so in place of waived, what about the reduced?
Again, I don't want my money to be held hostage. So having an account, if Amex was like, hey, if you have an Amex checking account and your direct deposit has to go in, you don't have to actually keep the money in there, right? You just have
Right.
to get your direct deposit through us. Then yeah, sure, why not? Because then I can move it wherever I want after. I do bank with Amex, so that wouldn't be a problem. But there are times when I've had to pull all my money out for a family emergency. And I've had 25 bucks into a savings account that usually has several thousand. So why do I want to put myself in a position where I might be penalized for that? I don't. Like, I don't want that. So for me, with who I am and how I handle things, that is not appealing. It's just not. Now, for somebody who makes triple what I do and keeps bank accounts with money stocked to do things the way that I stock points, I absolutely understand why it would be appealing to them. It is simply because financial side and the credit card side, and I understand it's all finance, but I'm making a distinction there between banking and credit cards. There is a solid brick firewall between those two things for me. It is not negotiable. It is not permeable. It is not, I don't sign up for bank bonuses. I have very few actual bank accounts. Everything is locked and loaded that way. I do not play on that side of the pond. I play in credit cards and only so much as I can afford to play in that field and always have enough money in my account to pay my bills in full. That is what I do. I enjoy the Wild West of credit cards, but I do not enjoy that on banking whatsoever. I do not enjoy my money locked up whatsoever. Absolutely fucking not. No. There will be no blackjacks and hookers in my bank accounts. Not a single one.
All right.
That's a Futurama reference, folks. Just FYI.
It
Yep.
is.
Cheers.
Caught that one really fast.
Lonnie, your thoughts here?
Yes and no. I'm always supportive of helping or assisting with an annual fee. As RJ so politely threw me under the bus inadvertently earlier, I am the guy that pays over $3,000 in annual fees for all my credit cards, which is roughly about $300 a month, high $200, maybe low $300 a month if I were to break that out. Now, I approach it in a different way, but the issue that I have with that is, for example, like you use Chase Private Client. One, it costs money just to get in there. It costs money to also, you have to hold in there to stay in there at the same time. Now, if you got the extra funds, then sure. But that's not where I really have my gripe. My gripe is that Chase is notorious for having the absolute worst interest rate in North America. Like, it's pennies on the pennies of the dollar. It's that
Bad.
where you could put that money anywhere else. Now, I agree with RJ to a sense where I like to make sure that like I have access to a portion of my money. That is the rainy day fund. That's when, then life happens. Can I go 3 months, 6 months on that rainy day treadmill fund if I need to? If that money is locked away where I can't get access to it, that's a problem. Now, there's other things that you can do. One, high yield savings account. Just put it over there. You're going to get more than what Chase is going to get you. Even the worst high yield savings accounts are going to pay you more than what Chase pays you. Period. When people talk to me about their finances and trying to help them with their finances and things like that, and they say, "Oh, I bank with Chase." I'm like, that's the first thing. You got to get rid of that. You got to let that go. It's great to have their credit card, not great to have their savings account. It's just not. But even Amex has a high yield savings account, and it's not bad. I think they do 1%, for their checking account, which is absurd in this country. For their checking account. Like, just you like to bank with the cards you have, switch to Amex or SoFi. The other option is investments. Now, you don't have to know a lot about investments to get into investments, but you need to at least do some research on what type of investments you want to play, because some are safer and some are a gamble. And right now, our current political and economic state is a giant gamble. But it's a good place for you to put your money if you need to pocket it somewhere where you can have access to it. You can sell your stocks or your investments at any time and pull that money out. It might take a day or two processing time or whatever, but you can do that. The whole point of everything that you're saying is going back to the annual fee. There's ways around it. There are ways that you can subsidize, save on that annual fee. Heck, go take a part-time job in the reserve, and then Amex won't charge you any annual fees. You work 1 weekend a month. And I only say that because I know people that have done that because they didn't want to pay annual fees for high annual fee cards. I'm not doing that. Love my country. I'm not doing that. So that's not, I'll pay my $3,000 a year. Not worth it for me. But for them, that was a good deal. And they're already like military focused military families anyway. So they're not just doing it to save $500. So no, they're not doing it for that. But I think, going back to your original purpose of the question, that the banks should assist with annual fees if they can. And I don't care if it's Chase or Amex, but let's just use Amex because I prefer them from a banking standpoint more than I prefer Chase. Or I would 100% recommend them putting your money in Amex's savings and checking accounts than I would for Chase, is what I really mean. As you grow financially, and maybe you start off in sophomore year in high school with your first job, you're only making a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 a check or something like that, then yeah, that puts you at one specific tier. And then when you get into the credit card space, when you start having certain amount of money on a consistent basis, we will support you in getting into our cards. This goes back to like my original question of pick one ecosystem or another. This is one of those ways that can help not just the annual fee, but also help that particular bank or business by saying, this person is not going to leave because we give them too much to leave. It costs too much for you to leave now because you might end up like Alani and have $3,000 in annual fees. But at this point, we're waiving 20% of that for you. You leave us, all that money comes back. Right. You switch banks, you switch to SoFi, all that money comes back. And the reason why I say it like that is because SoFi actually does that, where you get one APY, but if you have direct deposits or direct deposits of a certain amount, you get a higher APY. Now that has nothing to do with your annual fees, because they do have a debit card, they do have a credit card. I know nothing about their credit card because I'll never probably want one. But the point of it is that these are the types of measures that could be borrowed by credit card issuing banks to help with annual fees. And at the same time, to RJ's point, allow people to have access to their money if they don't want to do something in a different financial risk area, i.e. put in an investment, put it in a C&D, maybe put it in an IRA or something of that nature. They want to have that when I need it, I can click my mouse or type a machine and I can pull it out, or talk to a person and pull it out, and I can take it. But there's a risk to it. I have to keep X amount. And that also creates financial goals to say, if you were to have $15,000 on a consistent basis, we're going to take $300 every single year, like every month of the year. The next year, we're going to take $300 off your annual fees. That also would be like, I cannot dip below 15K because I don't want to pay that much. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little convoluted, but you can understand like the structure that I'm trying to build about answering your question, agreeing with RJ, and finding a solution for the consumers that all work without just saying private client. You want to be a Amex Black Card holder, then you need to spend $1 million just to get in the door, just for us to look at your application, not even to get in the door, just so will send you the application to fill out. Those types of things I think are a little bit absurd, and they're too far-fetched. There's a lot of us listening or watching right now that will probably never ever get to that level. Not to say that it's impossible, but I would say if anyone watching is going to get to that level, it's a smaller number versus the larger number.
Yep. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I just found the whole structure of it interesting. It's something I would love to see other banks emulate. Now, yeah, there could be issues and you have to have the liquidity, your personal liquidity there to do it. But if there was something like a program that Lonnie was talking about where you start from the beginning, start from the bottom, and then you end up here, great. Bad old reference, but there we go. That would be fantastic, especially as like you grow into the cards that you can get where, oh, maybe the Wells Fargo autograph journey is typically $95, but you've had a long and consistent relationship with Wells Fargo that has had no issues. You have a consistent balance of X. We're gonna chop off $50 off the card. Oh, and if you use that $50 credit, guess what? It's basically a free card. Free, because the $95 still comes out at one point, and then they just anyway. The same could be said for the Autograph Beyond or the Capital One Venture or Venture X. If you have a long-standing relationship and like they gave you that glide path up, that would be great. So maybe something like that going forward would be a way to start ecosystem lock-in early. To our earlier comments, where like Chase and American Express can buy ecosystem lock-in at this point, but if Wells or Citi or Capital One or some other bank wanted to jump in and try and make a play, probably taking that Citizens route where based on your relationship with the bank, you can get those reduced annual fees, and then if you leave, like you're going to pay the full annual fee going forward. If you don't want to do that, either stay or cancel your card. Yeah, it was just an interesting concept that I saw that like when I was doing that video, I was like, huh, that's cool. I wonder if other banks would be keen to do something like that. And then I went right back to recording about the Sapphire Reserve because it's all I've talked about lately. So tired of talking about it. Please let this news drop. All right. Thank you both for your thoughts there. Any final thoughts, Lonnie?
No. I would say if I had a final thought, it's by the time you're listening to this, we'll know if the Sapphire Reserve information came out on Tuesday or not. So stay tuned for that. And also, when someone says they know it's going to change on the Amex Platinum, no, they don't.
Nope.
So I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there right now. No, they don't. No, they don't. Let's not start this whole rumor sinkhole again for the next 6 months, please. No one knows. All right.
The annual fee is going up. I will know that for fact, Lonnie.
Hand on heart, yes, the annual fee is going to go up. How high the annual fee is going to go up, we don't know.
Different story.
Unless, of course, if you happen to work at American Express and you know me, please contact me. Let me know.
But that's all I got.
Thanks, Lonnie. RJ, any final thoughts?
It is 1:27 a.m. on the 17th, and the Chase website has not updated yet. So, as of 1:27,
hour and a half.
Yeah, as of 1:27, no news. So if you're listening to this in a couple of days and you're like, why do they act like this news hasn't dropped? Because in recording time, it has not dropped yet. I just wanted to plug that before somebody made a comment about the fact we're not talking about the big news.
Yep. To that end, should Tuesday be Sapphire Day? This is Tuesday the 17th, which we are now recording on because we start our recordings on the 16th. Started our recording on the 16th. It bled into the 17th. This is every week for us. We do this for you. If news drops on the 17th, I have at least one live scheduled with Joe Barretto at 1 o'clock to go over the Sapphire Reserve changes and the Sapphire business details. I am certain I'm going to drop a video at some point during the day about the Sapphire Reserve changes and the Sapphire business details. And I think there's a third card. I will likely be wrong. I'm going to try to coordinate some time with Lonnie to do a recording on Tuesday, and RJ and I may go live with a special Stack Your Points live, Stack Your Live, going over the details. So if Tuesday is in fact Sapphire Day, I'm going to be a very busy child. But if Tuesday is not Sapphire Day, I'm going to lose my mind.
It's just Matt sitting alone in the corner facing the wall, just rocking back and forth.
Fetal position and all. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Stack Your Points. You can always check us out at stackyourpoints.com. That has everything you need for the Stack Your Points experience. Join the Discord through the website. You can contact us through the website. You can leave questions on the videos that drop. We drop videos on YouTube on Wednesdays and Fridays. We do a live on Thursdays. May do a special live tonight. Who knows? We also drop mini episodes for the mailbag and topics Mondays and Tuesdays. So be on the lookout for those. But subscribe to the channel, hit and subscribe. We are quickly approaching 500 subscribers. That would be huge. And check
Which
us out
brings
on
in
podcast.
members only.
Yes.
That opens up members only.
If you've been waiting for members only, get 93 of your friends to click subscribe. We also release on the podcatcher of your choice on Saturday mornings. So, yeah. Check us out, stackpoints.com. Lengthy pitch there, but talk to you guys soon, and we will see you next week.